Just how serious do you think this breach is?
Obviously, it's serious, and it will be a shock for the officers and their families, and the civilian staff and their families too, I'm afraid. But we do need to keep a sense of proportion about the seriousness of this breach. Uniformed officers, and that's the vast majority of police officers in this country, walk around day in and day out with their name badges on display to the public. Their rank is obvious because they have badges of rank, and the public can see their faces. And that, at the moment, is all that seems to have been leaked. Now, that's the majority of officers. There is a tiny number of officers who work undercover, and that's a far more serious security threat for them. They are individuals who do very courageous and very dangerous sometimes work on behalf of the public, targeting organised crime. And for their identities and their photographs and a photograph linking them to the police service to be floating around we know not where on the internet, that is a problem, and that will cause serious concern, and that will need very serious review of their security and what new measures need to be taken to look after them.
Yeah, I totally understand about your getting the sense of proportion with this, but I guess, you know, these are criminals that have stolen this data and you just don't know what they're going to do with it.
No, indeed, we can assume, I think, that they are criminals and that they will want money for it. They want to monetize the information that they've got. So we would expect them to be trying to push the information to people who pay for it.
From your opinion, what kind of procedures do you think the Met Police should undertake in light of this? Is there anything they can or should be doing?
Well, the security measures for undercover officers are not something that the service ever will or ever should comment on, and neither would I. Obviously, that's to do with the physical security of those individuals. The wider issue, I think, is really finding out what exactly has gone wrong here. Is this a systemic vulnerability of the systems? Is it a case that points back towards a sort of Luddite solution for some data storage, that it's far better off on pieces of paper locked away in secure archives than stored in electronic databases and connected to the internet? And that needs a serious review for the most serious and the most sensitive of information.
And this is, of course, the latest incident in things like this with police across the UK. And I guess that doesn't really fill confidence with people who are thinking about joining the force.
It doesn't inspire confidence, but I think, again, we have to keep a sense of proportion here. The awful breach in Northern Ireland was simply a matter of human error. Now, that's not excusing it, but I think that's a very different situation to the one that we appear to have here, where the database has been targeted by organised criminals with a sophisticated IT capability. They're not the same, and we shouldn't regard them as the same. And we need to be telling the public that these are not the same. These will require different sorts of answers, different sorts of assessment of vulnerability.
Okay, Stephen, that's really interesting to get your views there. And of course, the addresses were not released. It was just the names and photos. And so I'd get your sense of proportion, but I guess it's the scale of it that is worrying people at the moment. But that's all we've got time for. Stephen Roberts there, former Assistant Commissioner there at the Met Police. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
You're welcome.